This is Casper de Nora, and you're watching the Chat with Chaps live show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Chaps. Slightly different episode this week. We're going to be talking all things that have happened in and around the Den, and we're going to do a bit of a championship check-in over the last sort of 7 to 10 days. Little bit of a different show, same faces. Stephen, Angelo, how are we, fellas?
Yeah, very well, very well. This looks like it's the this is the the MSN of the podcast game. So you had Messi, Suarez, and Neymar on the pitch for Barcelona. We're the MSN of the podcast game. These three faces.
I like that, mate. I like that. And so, how are we, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. I think just to recap, people that are watching this, we're gonna try and do this on a weekly basis. But we are going to speak, obviously, about Millwall, because we're a Millwall channel. But we are going to speak a lot about the Championship. So, obviously, if you guys are interested in Championship news and chat, then this will be the show for you guys as well. But we'll always have Millwall in there, because that's our club. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely. And just to add on to that, so a little bit of an agenda for this week. Obviously, there has been quite a bit to talk about in terms of Millwall. We'll go through, obviously, the good news of Alex Neil signing his contract extension. We will touch upon a couple of bad points after that. One of which is the rumour of Japhet's release clause in his contract, the rumour of Ivanovic, or the rumours in terms of the interest of Premier League clubs and Europe, and the sad news of the South London press obviously closing and what that means for all Millwall news. I don't know where we're going to go now with Rich not tweeting as much about Millwall, it would seem. And then in terms of the Championship, as Angelo mentioned, we're going to go into look at all the managerial changes. So we're going to look at Manning obviously going to Norwich, Carrick leaving Borough, Ryan Mason joining West Brom, Will Still going to Southampton, and then we'll probably touch upon Sheffield Wednesday. There's been some news today that they've just entered into a transfer embargo due to the wages not being paid. So we'll touch upon all those areas in terms of the Championship as well. And as Angelo said, let us know in the comments, guys and girls, what you would like us to include. We'll try and touch upon most clubs, but they're sort of the main sides that are doing things at the minute. So we'll start off into the Millwall world. Angelo, Alex Neil contract extension, initial thoughts. So I'm assuming, like most of us, very happy.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Yeah, brilliant news. Obviously, he had a slow start with us, didn't he? First month or so, quite a few defeats in there. But towards the end of the season, we was on fire. We was one of the form teams, and all I keep hearing in the background is how everybody is impressed with everything that he's doing. Even that thing that went out today with Kevin Nugent speaking with the podcast. He mentioned it a few times as well, didn't he? About how impressive everything that he's doing. So the great thing is as well, he's said it on numerous times that he loves it at Millwall. He loves the family atmosphere. He said it is a unique club, and I'm really, really pleased that he's extended his stay and signed. I don't know how long the contract is. Does anyone know?
Just says long-term extension.
Long-term, yeah.
I was actually having a look earlier, mate, and I was trying to find. Typically, in typical Millwall fashion, we didn't give a contract length when he signed in December, and that just said long-term as well. So I'll be interested to, see what we think that might run till now, or what we think he would have on his contract.
Very interesting, though, that they've renewed his contract after like 6 months, isn't it? It's
that's
I've got an opinion on that, but go on, Stephen.
That was my take. I was really surprised. I was really, really surprised to see the news, because to me, I would have expected him to have signed a relatively I'm not saying he'd have signed a 3.5, 4 year deal, but I would have expected him to have had
I would imagine
least another.
When he did it, it must have been a 2.5 year deal. That's what I would imagine.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And the only thing I can think of is that Millwall have kind of gone, right, we're hedging our bets on Alex Neil. He is going to be the man that's taken this rebuild forward, and we're basically going to say to all other suitors, if you want him now, or if you want him in the near future, you're going to have to pay. Yeah, you're going to have to pay us a lot of money. I think that's why they've done it. But as Angelo said, really, really good news. Surprising to begin with, but Millwall starting to be a bit savvy. Not just with players, but also now with the manager.
Yeah, there's no negative spin on it. Obviously, delighted that he's done it. I said to my dad, I didn't think there was a better candidate in terms of profile than Alex Neil. Anzo, you touched upon it. Obviously, we ended the season in flying form. I love it. You've said it multiple times as well, mate. I love his press conferences. I haven't seen him do an interview yet where I've disagreed with a single word he said. I think he's so honest and just tells you exactly how it is. But just a little spin on it. I don't know what you guys think. There was obviously the commotion, we'll call it, when he left Sunderland, when he obviously got him promoted, and there was rumours that he demanded a new contract or wages to be in line with championship management, or what other championship managers would be getting paid, and obviously he left. Don't think we might have signed him on a slightly cheaper deal, and he's maybe gone and said, look, done a good job, want some more money?
Maybe, but from my understanding outside, I mean, I know Edwards might have been different, but Gary Rowett was well paid by the club. So they obviously know the going rate to an extent of what it would cost to have a manager at this level. So maybe it's a pay increase, but let's be honest, most Millwall fans would have said do it. I think we all would if that's what he wanted. So it may be a hint of that, but I don't have an issue with that at all.
I'm by no means suggesting that Alex Neil has done that, by the way. I was just
of course, yeah.
It was just a talking point before anyone comes at me in the comments.
Do you know what? It could have all been planned as well, mate. It could have been you keep us in the championship, and then we'll renew your contract on better terms. That could have been part of the signing on phase. So
yeah, absolutely. But I think all in all, I think we're unanimously agreed, and probably most Millwall fans are very, very happy with the contract extension. Whatever way you look at it, I think he's done an excellent job so far. He'll be looking forward to next year, like most of the fans are, and if it is a financial protection piece as well, Stephen, like you said, from the club, I think it's good business as well. So yeah, very happy all round. Now on to the probably not so happy bits. Where should we start here?
Take your pick. Pick.
Let's go with let's go with Jaff's release clause. This was tweeted by Rich yesterday, maybe a day before. I think we'd heard a lot of rumours about the figure, or we'd heard whereabouts the figure may be. Now it's sort of out there in the open. I don't know what to say. If we lose him for 1.2 million, fellas, what the fuck are we going to do?
And also, what's the 0.2 all about? It might as well just make it 1 million, for fuck's sake. Yeah, that's disastrous news. And the sad thing is that everywhere you look, people are talking about it. All the championship podcasts on YouTube are mentioning it. So the only thing that we can hope for is that one of the parachute payment clubs come and buys him for 10 million, because it's only the Premiership clubs that can get him for 1.2, I believe. So
yeah, it's worth pointing that out, Angelo, isn't it? Rich did caveat it with it. He feels like that is just for Premier League sides, but I don't know what you think. In my opinion, he could comfortably get in a bottom half Premier League side.
I'll tell you what, if Millwall manage to keep Japhet Tanganga after that has come out, then we've got some unbelievable salesman stroke closers in our backroom team if we can get him to stay another season. Because 1.2 million for a Premiership team, they find at the back of the sofa that 1.2 million. So it's not even a gamble, is it? They'll just pay it, and they can use Jaff, can't they? They don't have to put him straight in the first team. It's going to be almost impossible to keep him, man, mate. I feel sadly.
Yeah, I agree, Stephen. I don't think there's much more to add, mate. But if we were to lose him for 1.2 mil, is it? What would be the biggest disappointment? Obviously, losing him from a quality perspective, or the figure in which we would get and not being able to get someone anywhere near that quality, or both?
A little bit of both. I think there's a hint of, there's a few people that are saying that, Jaff and his agent have had the club on a little bit by sort of demanding that kind of figure. The flip side to that is you'd say, would we have signed him? Would he have agreed to come if we didn't? There's two sides to the story, so I don't think we can really point the blame at him. But 1.2 million for someone who's clearly worth more than that, it's obvious that he's worth more than that.
What do you think in today's market he is worth? Take your Millwall hat off. What do you think he's worth? Bearing in mind he had a clause in his loan contract to Augsburg, I think it was 12 mil.
So being honest and being realistic, I think you pay for the English tax comes into it, because apparently if you're English, you're worth more money than anybody else. Realistically, he's worth, I would say, anywhere between 5 and 7 million of anyone's money, maybe even upwards of that. You've got to take into account that he still only has done it for one season, so there will still be question marks on his long-term fitness. Are his knees okay? Is he going to be able to withstand 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons? But for 1.2 million in the Premier League, it is as low risk as you're ever going to get for a centre-back, especially if he's not going to be first choice. I'm not saying this at all, but Tottenham, if Tottenham were to come back into, I know they wouldn't because he's his old team, but that kind of club struggled at the bottom of the league, probably needs some more options because they're going to be playing more European football. So, rotation, it's just low risk. And from a Millwall perspective, we clearly signed Tristan Kramer as a direct replacement for Jaff. I think the club would have known what the release figure was last January. It's not just been, it's not just come out of nowhere. They would have known. I think it's great that we've done our business this way, that we've secured a replacement already. But it's just a shame that we've been able to negotiate to sign an unbelievable player, and we're not really going to be able to A, see the benefit of him longer term, or B, make a nice little sum on him, which I think a lot of people thought we might.
I'll come back to that comment in a sec. But Angelo, in terms of your opinion, what would you value him at in today's market?
Do you know what, mate? I think he's an absolutely brilliant centre half, yeah. But is he getting into the is he getting into the top 10 in the Premier League? I don't think so. It's more the bottom half.
I'll tell you what, I know they did finish in the bottom half, mate, but Man United could do with Japhet Tanganga.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they could definitely, mate. I would say a fair sum for Jaff is 10 to 12 million, I think. I think that's what he's worth.
I was thinking in my head closer to that. I was thinking sort of 10 mil. And again, you say 1.2 is pocket change down the back of the sofa stuff. Even 10 mil for Premier League sides now, it's nothing, right? It's nothing. So, I was thinking more that. Stephen, you said there about realising his potential, and it's kind of an argument I've always had with Esse, right? We were never going to see his potential because of his age. We were never going to realise his end talent, if you like. That's the biggest thing with Jaff, is going to be the Japhet Tanganga sized hole it's going to leave in terms of his quality. Can we replace him in any way? I know we've signed Kramer, and he's looking so far so good. He's looking excellent, right? But he's still not Japhet Tanganga. Do you feel like we can go and get someone to fill that hole?
No, being honest, not of the same quality. I don't think the budget would allow it. But Kramer is obviously going to be the first choice now. You have to remember as well, he's been playing at right back, so we've seen how good, or what we think he's going to be at right back. He's going to move over to centre half, where he's probably a little bit more comfortable. We'll sign a centre back, another one, because to my knowledge, we've got Wes Harding as backup behind at the moment, and I think obviously Leonard could play there if need be. But if Jaff goes, we're certainly going to need to sign another centre back. We all knew. I think the player of the season vote, we all knew what was coming. I think it's just that when you see the number, when it's out there and everybody knows it, and it's not a typo, and you realise that
not just going around in the WhatsApp groups.
No, what Millwall had to do to get him to sign a contract. They had to agree to it. They wanted him. He was the first choice, the second choice, third choice. They put all their faith. Harris put all his faith into getting Japhet Tanganga through the door. They had to sacrifice in some way, and it's only now that when you've seen him have a full season, you've seen how good he is. Opposition fans week in, week out are going, "Call that Tanganga's good. Call that number 6 is good." Or I think he's number 6. He's a good centre half. You see it every single week, and now you look at it and go, he's gonna go. And it's a shame. But I tweeted it, or I might put it in our WhatsApp group, that it goes to show that we're trying to be better. We've spoke about it with Alex Neil. We're trying to be better off the field. We're trying to tie down players and put in sell-on clauses and all this kind of stuff. But we're still quite far off of the bigger fish in the league, because players like Japhet can say, "This is what we want if you want us to sign." Hopefully that will change in the future, and this might be a bit of a learning curve for the club, but it's the way it goes, isn't it?
Can I say one last thing on Japhet, right? This is a tiny little thing that's in our favour, right? How old is he? 25, 26?
25, I think.
Okay, so I believe that this season...
26, I think. He's 26.
He's 26, right? So this season is the first time in his career he's played a full season, no injuries, first choice, lovely jubbly, yeah? It's the first time, and he's 26 years old, right? So he's obviously missed a lot of his career has gone down to Swanee, because obviously he had injury problems, then he was out of favour, went to Germany, didn't work out, etc., etc. Is he really going to want... I know he's all about money, and we all want to earn 60, 70 grand a week. I understand that. But would he want to go to a lower Premiership team and sit on the bench? Possibly sit on the bench, yeah, and not play. You know, there's a decision for him to make as well, isn't it? Because, you know, if somebody in the club can persuade him for one more year, I'm so excited for this season coming. If we can keep hold of the Serb, you know, Alex Neil start signing his new contract. We've got these young players that have got that little bit more experience. Hopefully we're going to bring in some more people. We could go for it this season. And, you know, we could say to Jaff, give us one more year. We'll pay you X amount. If we don't go up this year, then you're free to leave. Do you know what I mean? But it's going to take a very, very good salesman in the background at Millwall to close that deal. Do you know what I mean? So, but my only little hope is that he knows that he's a regular. He's playing regularly. He's enjoying his football. He's playing very well. But it's the Premier League, isn't it, that we're competing against? So
and he's loved as well, Angelo. I think that's a big thing, right? He's loved. So, Angelo, just in terms of what we spoke about earlier, I'll ask two questions. First one, do you see Tanganga being a Millwall player come the end of the transfer window? And second one, do you see him potentially being signed by another Championship side?
Yeah, I've heard the rumours that Sunderland are in for him. He'd walk into Sunderland's team, I think, with Dan Ballard, who I love. I think we got about 10% chance of keeping him, mate. I'd love to keep him, but yeah, I think he's almost gone, sadly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And a Championship side, do you think any chance that another Championship side might sign him?
No, I don't think he'd leave us for another Championship team. I really don't, mate. I think it's going to be one of the ones that went up, or one of the lower Championship teams, maybe a Brentford or something like that. You know.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think Sunderland's be a great fit there. I think him and Dan Ballard's be a bit of a sickener for us Millwall fans seeing that. But
yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
But yeah, Stephen, same questions to you. Tanganga being a Millwall player in the transfer window, can you see him being signed by another Championship side?
I'm with Angelo with the Championship. I don't think he'll go to another Championship club. I don't think it would be beneficial for him. It's not what he wants, really. He's loved. He knows he's going to get first name on the team sheet, etc., etc. Chances of him being a Millwall player, I think 10% is generous, to be honest with you. With that figure, it's just so low risk for that division and the money that's in the Premier League for me. I can't see it really personally, Ben. What about you? Are you going to be higher than 10%? No,
absolutely not. I'm the same. I just think it's such low risk for a Premier League side. And as Angelo said, a club like Sunderland, it's just an absolute no-brainer, isn't it? I can't see a world in which he is a Millwall player next year, sadly. Again, this is only our opinion. We don't know for fact, but the fact that Rich has tweeted, would probably suggest that that figure is true, and we're going to have some strong challenges in terms of keeping him come the end of the window. Someone else that has been rumoured or is drawing interest from not only Premier League sides but from Europe is Mihajlo Ivanovic. Stephen, I'll come to you first on this one. Sort of initial thoughts on the rumours of him leaving, and then we'll kind of expand from that. But obviously, the interest has supposedly come from Wolves as a club that's been named. We've heard the likes of Lazio from Europe, but other Serie A clubs keeping an eye on him. Surprised at the interest already in Mihajlo? Not surprised? Yeah, general thoughts?
It makes me want to jump behind the back of my sofa and hope that the transfer window closes every time I see Ivanovic linked with anything or any mention of him, because that's a little obviously tongue in cheek, but when have we had a striker that other clubs are looking at really, really intensely going, yeah, we want him? And with Wolves being the team that's linked, they've just sold Cunha. They've just got 60 million for him, so they've got the money to spend. If Millwall knock back an offer, they can go, all right, we'll add another 3 on 4 on 5. What is it if they really want him? I'm going to ask you boys a question in a little bit. I'll come back to it, but I think it is vital that we keep Mihajlo Ivanovic this summer. We can't. Ben, we've had this conversation about the model at Millwall. We're going to lose players. We might not get to see them for that long. We've just spoke about it with Jaff. One season of a striker and then selling him, to me, doesn't make sense. Unless look, if they offered 40 million, which they're not going to, if you get silly money like that, you're obviously going to take it. But you can't just have a player that's starting to look really, really good, sell him. Look really, really good, sell him. That's not the Brentford and Brighton model. They didn't do it at the point of when they were just starting to get good. They had obviously established, had good numbers and had a ready-made replacement. We're nowhere near that. We're nowhere near that with Ivanovic. So it does concern me, but I feel like it won't be this summer that Ivanovic goes unless, as I said, it's silly money. I think in January, if all things go well, we're going to struggle, but we just got to keep, when that offer comes in, you just chuck it in the bin. If it's an email, delete it. If it's carrier pigeon, close the windows, whatever. Just literally just reject everything. Just turn it all down.
Angelo?
This one does not worry me in the slightest. I think that's just paper talk. We've got him tied down to a long contract, so we're not going to get our pants pulled down on this one if someone did come in with a ridiculous offer. He's not ready, is he, mate? He's had a fantastic second half of the season under Alex Neil, and I would imagine he would like to do another full season with us in the Championship, playing regularly, not doing an essay, going and playing 5 minutes every now and again off the bench, It's a no-brainer for him, because he's so young, to stay with us one more season minimum and just crack on, mate, I'm really, really not worried about that one. I don't think he'll go. And if he does go, it's going to have to be a ridiculous offer. It's going to have to be towards the 20 mil for us to accept anything. And so I'm not worried about this one, mate.
Are you not worried again that Rich tweeted it? And then obviously we hear rumours coming from elsewhere, right? But obviously it come from Rich again. You would assume that would mean that there's some truth behind it. But okay, let me ask you a slightly different question, Anzo. At what figure would you say yes or consider it? Open the window and the carrier pigeon turns up.
20. Anything below 20, just go away. You know what I mean? Just piss off.
Yeah. I mean, again, so the rumours, according to, I was having a look earlier to Birmingham Online or Birmingham World, whatever it's called, was that the initial figures banding about 7. I mean, you just have to laugh those off, right, Stephen?
Yeah, no. Triple that at least. And we'll have someone on loan from although the last player we signed from Wolves hasn't worked out so well. But no way. No way.
So Angelo said 20, you reckon 21. I'm going to say about the same. I just touching the point that you mentioned there, Stephen, that this model that we're changing to or have changed to does only work if you realise some of the potential for players. If we're going to be keeping them for 6 months, it doesn't make any sense to me. We're not going to be able to sustain the replacements for one. You can't just keep churning in European wonder kids out. It's just going to be a really tough thing to do. We know we're doing it to obviously strengthen our financial position as a club, but you also want to realise the potential of these players on the pitch as well, right? I do think this time next year it might be a slightly different conversation. Or in January, like you said, Stephen, if he does continue next year where he left off last year, I do think we might struggle. But again, like you said, if it's going to be a club like Wolves, we know they've got money. You've got to be trying to pull their pants down.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And that's the thing. Clubs would do it to us. Clubs would do it to us if we, if we was to sell Ivanovic for big money and then we wanted to go and buy a striker, they'd go, well, you've just got money for him, so we want a percentage of that. That's how football works. I'm gonna throw a slight question back to you both. Ben, I'm gonna come to you first. If I could guarantee you Japhet Tanganga on an improved contract, but we lost Ivanovic, would you take it? And Angelo, that will go to you. We get a fee that we'd get a very good fee for Ivanovic, by the way. So Jaff on an extended contract, but Ivanovic leaves, or Ivanovic stays and Jaff goes.
This is going to probably sound nuts to a lot of people, but this is just based on us traditionally, right? We've been very good defensively without Jaff before. Our biggest problem in the Championship has always been scoring goals. Even last year, how many games did we win 1-0? You take out Ivanovic's goals, potential goals for next year. Can we replace that? We look at who we've got on the books at the minute. Langstaff's clearly not in favour. He might leave. Coburn's gone back from a loan deal. If we lost Ivanovic as well, we'd need to sign 4 strikers this window, which we can't. We've done well to pick one out. So, as much as I said earlier, a Japhet Tanganga-sized hole at the back for us is going to be huge. I think a Mihailo Ivanovic one up top potentially could be bigger, just in terms of what it means by position.
Angelo?
Yeah, stop asking us horrible questions, Steve. It's a horrible question. If I have to choose, mate, it's got to be Ivanovic. He's 20 years old. Do you know what I mean? His sell-on value is so much more than Jaff's. I'd go with. Like Ben said, when Jaff was out with his broken hand, Kramer put in some unbelievable performances, didn't we? We didn't really miss him, did we? It's the big serve for me, mate.
I just want to point out that I would pick Ivanovic as well. I was baiting both of you to see if I could get one of you to say it the other way.
No.
All in agreement there, mate. All in agreement.
Do you know what it is about the serve? What it is, mate, is I in my lifetime, and I've been around a lot longer than you two, like the closest to Ivanovic with the types of goals that he scores, it's got to be Teddy Sheringham, mate. Like there is nobody else that I've ever come across that can score different types of goals like he can. And he's only 20. Can you imagine what he's going to be like when he's 24, mate? It could be quite scary. It's a no-brainer, mate.
Let's get in the comments, people. Is Ivanovic on par with Teddy Sheringham? See what everyone thinks. Mate, last bit of Millwall news then, fellas. Obviously, we heard that the sad news that the South London press is obviously closing with pretty much immediate effect. Rich tweeted it. Rich also tweeted that he's going to be going and doing something a bit more Charlton related, but would keep tabs on Millwall. Just keep it open here. Angelo, I'll go to you first. Just from a Millwall perspective, mate, what does that mean? Obviously, it's been the home of truth, right? It wasn't true unless Rich tweeted it. Who are we going to go and ask now? Any Millwall news? Who are we going to ask? Any striker news too? But yeah, sad news that South London press is more.
It's really sad, mate. And again, I'll show my age here again, mate. Obviously, when I first started supporting Millwall, there was no internet, there was no mobile phones. So literally on a Tuesday and a Friday, the South London press would come out. And because I was a young kid then, if I didn't have enough money, I'd just go in the newsagent, go straight to the back, read it, and then run out of the newsagents, you know. And then when I did have the money to buy the paper, I used to cut out all the pictures and do my little scrapbook. But yeah, that was our Twitter. Was on a Tuesday or a Friday. going to the news agents and buying the South London Press. So it's very, very sad, mate. Yeah. I'm not, obviously, we've all really looked up to Richard Corley when he was giving us all the information. Now that he's gone on his own, he's not starting very well, is he, on the Millwall side, because it's all bad news that he keeps firing out.
Yeah, he does. Can he stop? Can he go back to South London Press, please?
Yeah. So it's sad. It is sad news, mate, because like me, it goes back a long way, and I would have to go down. I was like straight away, first thing in the morning, go and get the South London Press, mate. That was the only way. That was the only way you could find out about Millwall. Or they used to have this 0800 number that you used to have to call up, and it used to be like £5 a minute, and you get news off that. That was the only way you could ever get news, mate. So it's very, very sad, mate. Very sad.
Stephen, for us. As I said, unless Rich tweeted it wasn't true, right? You could ignore everything else. So for us, going onto Twitter and seeing, as I say, if Richard tweeted it, then we knew it was happening, or if he didn't, you would normally get nothing in that rumour. So sad that we won't have that, or we will have a little bit of it, but not as much.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is that a lot of people you talk to at football grounds, little Millwall, when you're away at home, whatever, and you'd often hear people go, if Rich ain't saying it, don't care. Or you'd the other way, and I used to do it, you'd go onto Twitter. The first you do, you search him. Yeah. You'd go straight to his feed to see what he's posted. Has he retweeted anything? What's going on? Like, obviously he's Charlton and other South London clubs, and he's a Fulham fan, so he'd had other stuff, but you'd just be looking for that, any news on Millwall. And it is a shame. Obviously he will still have his links, he will still share things. I bet you he wouldn't have been talking about Japhet Tanganga's release clause if he was still at the South London Press, because Millwall would have had absolute kittens with him sharing that news. He's obviously got a little less restrictions there, but there'll be someone else, but they just won't. It won't be the same as Rich. He was the god of Millwall news. It was what everyone went to. Obviously, Angelo talking about the South London Press. It's just been a mainstay. A lot of our listeners will be like Angelo. Will have that story of having to go down on a Friday and get the news, and that was your only source of news. Obviously, we're in a different world today, but it's still very, very sad. And Richard is. I don't want to wish him too much success, because he's covering that lot predominantly, isn't he? But I hope he does all right with it. There we go. I hope he does.
And obviously, it's not all just about Rich, right? A lot of people have obviously lost their jobs, so wish
of course.
Wish everyone well. But from a Millwall perspective, gutting really, to say we're not going to have that home of truth, if you want to call it that. But anyway, right, that's kind of summed up Millwall. Probably gone a little bit longer than we perhaps planned, but did say we're going to talk about the rest of the Championship, fellas. So where should we start? Should we go with the Liam Manning move to Norwich? Because that probably seems to have caused the most conversation, shall we say. Angelo, what's your thoughts on that move? Thoughts on the move for Manning. A lot of people have said it's probably a sideways step now, given that Norwich aren't a parachute club. General thoughts on the Manning move to Norwich?
Well, I think it's a crucial for Norwich. It's a crucial summer, isn't it, mate? Because they've got so many outstanding individuals, and it's a question whether they're going to keep them. Your Sargents, your Signs. There's a lot of very, very good players there. So it's going to be an interesting one, mate. I am surprised. I think someone said in the group chat, is it a step up? I'd imagine it is a step up, isn't it? Norwich have been in the Premiership quite a few times, and it'd be interesting, mate. But I wouldn't be, if I was a Norwich fan, I wouldn't be overly excited with that appointment. But he's done a reasonable job at Bristol City, really, isn't he? To get him into the playoffs, he was quite highly regarded at Oxford as well. When he was over there, he was doing a good job there. Comes from the scum, comes from the West Ham, didn't he? He started as a coach over there. But listen, he's done well everywhere he's gone, to be fair to the guy. So with Norwich, it's going to be interesting to see, if he keeps in players. And I saw rumours he's after that Harry Darling, isn't he, from Swansea? Because I think he had him at was he at MK Dons as well? Was he, Manning? I think he might have been at MK Dons as well. Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
I think he had him there. So surprised he left Bristol City, but if he says it's a step up, so obviously on more money, and good luck to the guy. But Norwich, I hate Norwich, mate. They just always beat us. It's just one of them clubs. Although we did smash them this season at home, didn't we? With the Olays, that was great. That was.
So there you go, ladies and gents. It's still going to be a very Millwall tinted review of the Championship here. We hate them because they always beat us.
And then we got the worst record at Carrow Road that you could possibly have. So
exactly.
Stephen, what's your mate think about that?
Yes, exactly what I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
Well, it pains me to have to talk about Norwich. I think we should have vetoed this club as the one club that we didn't have to talk about from my perspective. Obviously, my listeners know one of my very good friends is a Norwich fan. I think the Norwich fans are pleased with the appointment. I think you're right to say that maybe they expected someone else. They maybe a little bit of a. I don't want to disrespect the guy because he did an amazing job with Bristol City, but maybe someone a little bit more higher profile, I think, might have been what they were kind of hoping for. There was talk. A lot of the fans were talking about wanting Russell Martin, who's obviously gone to Rangers. So that they seem to be okay with it. I think it is a step up. To an extent, obviously based on last year, it's not. But overall, Norwich are probably a bigger club. They have been in the Premier League. They've got some fantastic players. They've got money coming in for Johnny Rowe, I believe. I think that agreement with Marseille is still in place. So they've got money coming from him. They've got a sell-on clause on Gabriel Sara, who's out in Turkey, who Manchester City have been potentially looking at. So clearly they're going to get some money from that. Sains and Sargent are obviously big money players, two of the top 3 goal scorers in the Championship. So you look at it like that, and you look at Manning going there thinking, well, he's going to walk into some money. He's going to have be able to sign some good players. But that also means they're losing players. They've lost Angus Gunn, who is arguably one of the top goalkeepers in the division. That's going to be difficult to replace. Their backup is still George Long, who's still got 2 years there. So, that's it's not really a position that we'd want to be in, having him on the book. So I'm actually surprised that Manning left to go this early. I thought he might have wanted to stay and give it maybe another crack at Bristol City. I thought they were fantastic when they come to the Den last year. They were one of the best teams we saw all season, and I include the top boys in that. They were fantastic. I think it was a Tuesday night and they played us off the park, to be honest. But yeah, it is a step up. I think Norwich, going off of my friend, someone who obviously knows the club a lot better than what we do, he seems to think it might be a little bit of a rebuild year and not write it off, but kind of say to him, look, we're going to lose a couple. Let's build a squad and go again in 2 seasons' time. If he's happy to do that, great. What it means for Bristol City, will their players start to leave now as well? I don't know, but I do think it is a slightly upward move for Liam Manning.
And you touched upon there just some finances or incomings and outgoings at Norwich. I think the one thing that surprised me, I watched Benjamin Bloom's show the other day on this topic, and he mentioned about some of the transfer teams they actually did last year. I think they'd put a lot of investment similar to us into younger European players. And they actually still spent quite a decent amount, according to Transfer Market, like what Benjamin Bloom said, 34 million euros. So it's not like they haven't spent money, and they haven't spent money on players that aren't going to be better with another year of Championship experience. So whilst they are going to lose players, there's clearly investments still going into the club. You mentioned about those outgoings as well, Stephen. So they're going to have money to spend. On the flip side to that, it sounds something as well I didn't know. It sounds as though Bristol City are tightening the purse strings and they're not going to be spending as much on wages or transfer fees. So there's probably a lot of that into it. Manning's probably looked at the 2 squads and thought that Norwich are stronger.
Yeah, I think again with Norwich, we're not Canary TV, by the way, so we'll have to move on from these. We'll have to move on from these shortly. But they've signed a young kid from Man City. I can't think of his first name. I know it's Wright is his surname. That really highly rated young midfielder. They've signed him on a permanent. So they do good. They do know their stuff in terms of the transfer market. They sell their players for lots of money. They're very good with sell-on clauses and things like that. So Manning he knows that. He will know that. He'll know exactly where they're at in terms of financial and what they're looking to do this summer. So and yeah, Bristol City, are they going to be the team that almost done it and then sort of fade away? It remains to be seen who goes in there. But we touched on it on our last show, I think, about clubs that potentially missing the boat. They had their opportunity. They got beat 6-0. That's a real disappointing blow to recover from. So I think they may. I don't think they'll go down. I don't think there'll be any danger of that. But I think there'll be certainly a team that missed their opportunity at the big time.
Yeah, and rumours are Rob Edwards is one of the favourites to go to Bristol City, I believe.
Which I think would be a great signing for them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think that'd be a good signing. Moving on to Middlesbrough chaps. Stephen, I'll come to you first this time. Michael Carrick has obviously been sacked from Middlesbrough after 2.5 years. I couldn't believe it was 2.5 years, and I read that on BBC Sport. It seems like he's been there for about 10. Yeah, I was really surprised at that. I was also surprised that they'd sacked him, to be perfectly honest. It did feel, just from an outside perspective, that maybe it ran its course a little bit. But yeah, initial thoughts on Carrick being sacked by Middlesbrough?
Again, I didn't think they'd sack him. But as either he was going to walk away or something, you know, I feel like Middlesbrough are serial underachievers in the Championship. They should be in the top 6 every season, in my opinion. There's no getting away from the fact that not making the top 6 is probably a failure for them. You're right, Michael Carrick seems to. You just assume he's been manager for donkey's years, that he's always been there. Just time for a change, fresh start. Coventry did it. They obviously were fairly successful with Mr. Lampard. Obviously, didn't quite go their way in the playoffs, but a fresh start can always be a good thing. And keeping it on a Millwall theme, Angelo, I'll come to you on the Carrick thing, but that probably means that Josh Coburn's future is now massively up in the air. Do you think that would now mean we have to look elsewhere if we were interested in him?
Yeah. Firstly, on Carrick, I actually thought they'd give him one more year because it was so close. But yeah, I just thought that they'd give him one more year, and if he didn't do it this year, then they'd call it a day with him. But they've obviously decided to just do it now. There was some really weird rumour going about that Tottenham are looking at bloody Michael Carrick, which is weird. Getting sacked from Middlesbrough and then going to Tottenham. But I was a little bit surprised. I thought he'd get one more season. Regarding Josh Coburn, all depends, doesn't it, mate? What manager comes in? Is he going to fancy Josh Coburn? Again, in my head, I've forgotten about Josh Coburn already because I just kept hearing rumours from everybody that he didn't want to move down south. He wanted to stay up north. So, if that's, once you hear that from more than a couple of different sources, I just thought, well, that's the end of him. Do you know what I mean? So I would have liked to kept him, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it, mate. We can find someone just as good, if not better, than Coburn, I'm sure. Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised, as said, with Carrick being sacked. Again, just looking at the numbers, apparently they'd spent over 45 million since he'd been there. So you look at that, there's a lot of money been spent. Similar to you, Stephen, I always think they're just a club that should always be in the top 6. They've been they've been given this mantra of being a really good footballing team, and their XG is always better than everyone else, and they're always really progressive and all that sort of thing, haven't they? They've got that aura, or that's how everyone talks about them in the league. But yeah, look, normally when something like this has happened so early on, it's normally by mutual agreement, isn't it? And it's because they haven't agreed on a transfer policy. The fact he's been sacked is an interesting one. Why would they have just not done it at the end of last season, or sort of straight away after the last game or whatever? But the Coburn thing, I'm like Angelo. I've kind of already forgot about him. I don't see him coming back. I just don't see it happening, to be honest, mate.
I just felt that we were still going to be sniffing around, and I feel like they would have liked, because Alex Neil made the noise, didn't he, about wanting to sign him? But I think this completely changes it now. I think that will be one where we will be looking elsewhere, personally.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on then, chaps. Will Steele was obviously appointed new Southampton manager. I spoke about him the other week on our show and said that I'd heard him on Monday Night Football, and I just thought he was one of those modern managers talking in riddles. Clearly, Southampton like those types of managers, having had Russell Martin previously. But again, highly touted coach. Obviously, was in France last year. How do we see that one playing out, Angelo?
Yeah, again, I don't know too much about him, but all I've heard is same as you, Ben, is that he's very, very highly rated, very young as well. Is he 32 or something?
Yes, he's 32.
Really young manager. We just have to see how it develops, mate. I don't know if he's like plays a Russell Martin type of football, which is awful. Let's see how they do, mate. He's obviously got good players there, but again, there's probably going to be a lot of players leaving Southampton as well. So be interesting to see him next season.
Stephen?
I think it puts massive pressure on him. You go to a club like Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester, or any of them three. I think Leicester, the manager position there is going to be a bit of a merry-go-round. Will Van Nistelrooy. I don't know if they've actually announced anything. Ipswich, McKenna, will he stay? Will he go? But Southampton their supporters will expect them to be in the top two. That finishing outside of the top two is not going to be on their agenda whatsoever. So there's pressure on him going in. They will lose some players. Again, sorry to Southampton fans if any of them do actually tune in and watch this, but I didn't think they were particularly great the year they went up. Are they going to be any better now? I don't know. Maybe with some, the money that they're able to spend, but I think it's big pressure on Will still, and he's going to have to live up to that reputation pretty quickly, because if he doesn't, he won't be there much for very long.
Yeah, and as you say, I always think it's whatever way you look at it. I'm sure anyone out there that watches the French league might tell me differently, but the top end of the Championship, I would almost certainly say is better than mid-table in France. And managing a club like Southampton, that a club that have been in the Premier League for a while, obviously a bit of a yo-yo club in recent years, but I think that's going to bring a very different challenge to a very young manager. I think the key is always with the sides that are relegated is who they're going to lose, right? Is that squad going to look completely different? They've already got a young squad. They're obviously going to have money from the parachute payments, and whoever they do lose, they're going to reinvest it. But yeah, how different is that squad going to look sort of come start of the season? So yeah, I think it's a very different pressure he's going to face now. Be interesting to see how he gets on, because as we said a couple of times, he's obviously been very highly touted as a coach. So interesting to see his style of play and just what he's like as a manager in the Championship. So that'll be an interesting one. Moving on to sort of news that's broken the last day or so. That's surrounding Sheffield Wednesday. So obviously payments to players haven't been made. They're now under a transfer embargo. The off-the-field issues there were obviously going on all throughout last season. There were protests. Sheffield Wednesday fans not happy. Angelo, for a club like Sheffield Wednesday, it always saddens me, because they are a big traditional side, to see an owner that clearly doesn't give a shit about them.
Do you know what? After what happened today as well, Ben, right? We had a show last week. We didn't know. I couldn't pick who was going to go down, could I? I just who is going to go down? I think Sheffield Wednesday are going to go down, mate, because all this upheaval. I think the manager's going to think, sod this. He's going to go.
He was making noises last year, wasn't he, about being unhappy with what was going on. So I'd almost say that's certainly going to happen.
They've got an aging squad as well. They had a lot of loan players as well. So unless the Sheik decides to buy Sheffield Wednesday, because there was Simon Jordan was pushing him up that way, wasn't he? But I think he wanted a club down in the south. So unless they get the Sheik, it's just doom and gloom up at Sheffield Wednesday, mate. And I have to, at this stage of of the summer, I have to make them favourites to go down now after what happened today, mate. It's a disaster. But yeah, big club, and it's a shame for them because they've got a great fan base. But yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, bruv.
It's not. And yeah, just from reading before I come on, it seems as though you have 30 days to obviously make payments to the players. If you don't hit that, you have a 3 transfer window ban, and it seems as though the rumours are they haven't hit that 30 days, or Dan Sheary, whatever his name is, hasn't hit that payment.
Is there no points deduction for like not paying wages? Didn't Reading get done for not paying wages? Or
I'm not sure when that comes in, but according to this, it's a transfer embargo for 3 windows. So as you've already said there, mate, they've got an aging squad. They're going to lose a lot of loan players going back. Stephen, just thoughts on what's going on at Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, look, we all have our football rivalries and we always have teams that we don't like. Sheffield Wednesday are not one of those, I will point out. But you don't want football clubs to be run by people like that, what they've got, who they've got at the moment. It's not right. It's not right on the supporters. It's not right on those that work at the club that probably are local, that love the club, the youth players, any Sheffield lads that are playing for their team or whatever. But it's how football is at the moment, and this is why that sometimes the fit and proper test isn't really done correctly, in my opinion, because Sheffield Wednesday are being led up the garden path a little bit. Hopefully it gets resolved. I think you're right, Ben. I read something earlier that they've finished in terms of transfers. That's it. They can't sign anybody. That's awful. At the start of the summer, going into when people are desperately looking for transfer news, having that embargo and what that means is shocking. Unless something drastic happens, I'm with Angelo. I can't see them getting themselves out of trouble from everyone else in the league's point of view. Should we say, clubs that might not be expecting to have a good season might think, well, that's maybe potentially one space that's going to be filled come the end of the season in the relegation zone. But just in those scenarios, I think of it. What would we be like as supporters if it was our club that was going through that? You don't wish that on anyone. You know, they go and support their team and very well supported. We went to Hillsborough, which was probably one of the best days ever when we went there. But it's an old school ground, and yeah, just a shame. But aging squad. Are there going to be many people coming in to take their players? Are they going to have players on high wages that are still not getting paid? Just a complete mess.
And just to touch upon that, and just to draw some comparisons, when it happens to the likes of Reading, I've always had a hatred for Reading for no reason. They're such a nothing club, so I couldn't have given an absolute toss when it happened to them. Sheffield Wednesday, they're a club just steeped in history, as you said, big fan base. We always have good games against them. There's always a little bit of edge to it. It makes it an exciting game. Always sell out on their away end, and they're very well supported away from home. So just a club that I've just generally quite liked. It's just a club that is similar to us, I would say. And yeah, I don't like to see it happen to most clubs. I'll caveat that. But yeah, sad to see it. Hope it's sorted soon. But I think unanimously now, again, fellas, is that they're probably going to be favourites to get relegated. Certainly, if they can't bring anyone in, the amount of players they're potentially going to lose. The most important piece of that is probably Danny Roll. And just thinking about it then, as we were talking, Danny Roll to Middlesbrough. Anyone? Could that happen?
Yeah, I heard a rumour of that as well.
Is that rumoured, Angelo? Is that?
Steve Cooper's the favourite. Rob Edwards and Danny Rowe. I think them 3 were the names that I heard that are favourites for the Middlesbrough job. Yeah.
If I was Middlesbrough, I'd be going all out for Danny Rowe. I would be. I would really be going all out to get Danny Rowe.
And unless like something drastic's happening in the background, if Rowe gets an offer to go to a club that's fighting for the playoffs like that,
he's gone. Yeah,
he's gone.
mean, he was making noises, as I said earlier, wasn't he, last year about everything that was happening off the pitch. So he's obviously been not itching to get out, but I'd imagine I thought he was nailed on for the Southampton job back end of last year. I just thought it was naturally going to happen because he was obviously number 2 there and all that sort of thing, and that didn't happen. So he's again another very highly touted coach, right? Come through the Bayern Munich system and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I can't imagine he will be there for much longer. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. I think that's it, fellas. I think we've done our Millwall roundup. Or anything else?
West Brom have got a new manager as well, Ben.
You're right, mate. We forgot about that. West Brom have appointed Ryan Mason. An interesting one, given the fact he's not, I'm going to say not been a manager. I know he had the period of time at Spurs, being first team coach or head coach, whatever it was, but he hasn't been given the reins at a club. So his first opportunity, saw that he's on a 3-year deal. That's quite a long term for a first managerial step in the Championship in the second tier. I open the floor, fellas. Angelo, go on. You mentioned it.
I think when before Joe Edwards joined us, his name was touted for Millwall as well, because he had that little loan spell with us, didn't he, when Harry Kane came? But again, very, very highly rated coach. There's rumours that he's going to take Mickey Moore, who's a Millwall fan and a massive prospect. I've got a very, very good friend who is Spurs crazy, and I said to him, any chance we could get Mickey Moore? He went, no chance. He's going to be in the first team for Tottenham next season. So, but there's rumours that Ryan Mason's going to take him over there for a year. And, we were having this discussion before we recorded this. Ryan Mason could probably pick a lot of up-and-coming Spurs players and take them to West Brom. So I look at West Brom a little bit like Middlesbrough. They're always around, they're up there, aren't they? But just don't get over that line. So, again, it's going to be very, very interesting, mate, to see how he does as a young manager. The poor guy had to give up football at 25 because of that head injury. Good luck to the guy. And Jed Wallace, has he got another lease of life under another manager? I don't know. Is Jed going to move down the leagues, or is he going to get one more season with Ryan Mason? It'd be interesting to see, wouldn't it?
Do you want me to ask the question?
Go on then.
Would you have him back?
I think he's lost his yard of pace, hasn't he? Yeah, I wouldn't take it. I love Jed, but would take him back.
Was that a no? You wouldn't, Stephen, or just no?
No. If Cambridge had survived under Harris in League One, I could have seen him going there. I don't think he'll drop to League Two just yet. But West Brom, you're right, Angelo. Very much like Middlesbrough, a club that probably expect to be in the top 6, never quite do it. Change the manager, bring in players. I noticed they let John Swift go. His contract come to an end, so he was released. So again, I don't know what their financial situation's like, but he was on big money, so there might be some funds available. Obviously, well-backed club recently in the Premier League. We'll hope to get them back in. We'll have the Spurs links. I think it's odd. I think from his perspective, he's just won a trophy at his club, obviously as part of the backroom staff. So he's now thinking, right, I'm going to branch out on my own. I'm going to take a job in that's suitable for him. Let's see how it goes. I until they've made some signings, I won't pass comment, but I don't see it being an instant Ryan Mason's going to get West Brom into the top 6 right now. I don't see that happening, but we'll see come closer to the start of the season.
Right, Stephen, me and Ben done another show about a week ago. We were talking about the 3 that come up, yeah? So I'd like to get your views. Firstly on Charlton. Are Charlton staying up?
I was on that show with you.
Oh, was you?
Add it to the blue for real come the end of the season.
What? Sorry, Stephen. I thought it was me and another. I do apologise, mate.
Right, well, I'll leave this and let these two just carry on with the show, and they can have their little. What did you say?
What did you say, Richard?
I'll put a recap.
I think he agreed with you as well, Andrew. I think that was the worst thing. He agreed with you.
Mate, the old Alzheimer's is
Birmingham do the better out of the teams. I don't know how hard the league they go. Wrexham will be safe and Charlton will stay up, but I don't think they'll have the best of seasons, but they'll have enough to stay up.
And for anyone who didn't see last week's episode, there you go. That's just summed up.
And did you see today that Birmingham have announced they're going to build a 62,000-seater stadium?
See that? Yeah, whole redevelopment piece, right?
That is mega, mate.
Absolutely. And they want like a sports centre, like a sports.
Yeah.
Like St George's. where the England players they want their own version of that in the heart of Birmingham. So the next Jude Bellingham can develop and come through, and then have a brother that just basically copies his career path.
Yeah,
looks like he's off to Dortmund, doesn't it, Job?
Yeah.
One last thing before we finish. Yeah, rumours that Asgard wants to leave Luton, doesn't want to play in League One.
But he's too good for League One.
I mean, we were rumoured to be after him, weren't we? So if he's going to cost $3 million, Angelo, I'd be knocking on Luton's door.
Would you?
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, he looks good. And he's been told as well, hasn't he? I read an article that he wants to play. I don't know. Is he Norwegian? Is he from Norway?
Yeah.
That if he wants to make the national squad, he will not be considered at the level that he's at the moment. He has to move up at least a division to be noticed by the head coach of the national team. So it's in his interest to move. So I'm with Ben. If he was available, decent price, I'd have a look at him. Very, very good technical player.
And boys, do you know one thing we forgot to talk? You know, when we were talking about the Serb, Ivanovic, we forgot to mention that he captained the under-21s, didn't he?
Yeah, Stephen, I think you put that in the WhatsApp group earlier.
Yeah, we're. Go on, Angelo. Sorry, I thought you finished.
He doesn't come across to me as like a captain type. So, but I was really pleased. I was really pleased that he's the Serbian management team took that decision. Was that from the start? Was he? It wasn't like giving the armband after the captain went off or anything, was it?
I don't know, but Millwall posted on Instagram with the caption saying something like "proud," and it was a corner, and you could see the armband clearly there. Again, it's another thing that's just attracting more attention onto Ivanovic being captain of his, the under-21s team. Like, can they just stop doing that? Like, just don't take any pictures of him. Don't let him do anything basically until the transfer window closes. But it's great for him. He's highly thought of. Like, if you just this time last year, right? If we'd have been having a conversation that we were going to sign a Serbian wonder kid that was going to be captain of the under-20, people would have thought, well, what are you taking? Like, what you blow to the head or something. And it just goes to show that the club, our club, and we will finish on Millwall, obviously being a Millwall podcast, but our club do maybe know what they're doing behind the scenes. They are trying.
Try to say it with a straight face.
Yeah, they're trying their best. And look, we've signed a Serbian wonder kid that every Millwall supporter loves. Everyone wants him to stay. Everyone wants him to score bucket load of goals. You got Angelo comparing him to Teddy Sheringham. I mean, he's going a distance. So good luck to him. But just can we wrap him in cotton wool and just don't let him sign anything at least until January.
Who are we talking about, mate?
I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, perfect. Right, fellas, I think we're done this time. An hour and 5 minutes later. So I really enjoyed that. Any final thoughts, chaps?
Just want to apologise to Stephen. He was on the show with us. I could have sworn it was someone else. I do apologise, Stephen. Sorry. That'll make is it the boo-boo cut, isn't it?
Yeah, blooper reel, mate. The blooper
reel. That's it, blooper reel, yeah. Stephen?
I might get Chris to leave in the part where Angelo was cutting out now, just to get my own back. So when people are watching it, no, that was good. It's good to talk. Well, obviously, we branched out a little bit with a championship and having a little bit of a perspective on other clubs. Obviously, we know to our listeners that you're here for Millwall news. We want Millwall news, but we're just trying something a little bit different. And I'm sure I won't take Ben's thunder because he's probably going to do an outro. But I'm sure there'll be plenty more shows like this to come.
I think you summarised it all there, mate. Look, listeners, do give us your thoughts if you like the championship content or what you want us to add to, what you didn't like. Just let us know. Just let us know moving forward because it will help us shape how we run these. As I say, it's been an eventful-ish week for us from a Millwall perspective, and there's obviously been a lot going on within the league. So do give us a like. If you don't follow us already, please do that. If you're from other championship sides and you want to hear some more championship news with a Millwall tint, we'll go with that. Do give us a like, do give us a follow. You think if there's any friends or family out there that would like this, then please send it to them. On to the next one. Cheers, fellas.
All right, cheers, guys.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.